God, we're all like, oh, this market, this is the worst market I've ever been in. I can't, I get a buyer and what am I going to do? And how do I get my offers accepted? There's this, it's too difficult mindset that I guess that's the first thing I really want to talk about. There's a too difficult mindset for a lot of agents I've been talking to, right? So many agents, they'll message me or contact me, and I always try and give as much info as I can. Maybe I was blessed for one fact of feeling out the market in 2017. Okay, so the market in 2017 felt a little bit like this. Yes, it's a little bit gnarlier now, but the market was pretty much like this from middle of 2017 till about February, March of 2018. Rates were like dead low in the threes. There was low inventory. There was 10, 15, 20 offers on every home. It was crazy. So during that time in 2017, my friend Sal and I, we kind of strategized and we said, hey, like, whoa, holy shit, like we've never been in this market, what do we do? And we had to sit down and we're like, how do we get offers accepted? I mean, we were the same way as so many agents are right now, right? They've never seen this market. We didn't know what to do. And so we started to strategize over what ways we could get offers accepted. So being back and creating those strategies back in 2017 really benefited from right when this hit. I'd say the market started getting this way as of May, like COVID hit February, March. The market started being, it was a little bit odd for a month or two. And then I'd say around like May or June, all of a sudden low inventory, crazy low rates. And then this all began again. I remember calling my friend Sal and I've been like, holy shit, here it is again. Let's turn it back on. So we had to go back into those strategies, turn those strategies back on. And I'm sure we're all out here doing most of these strategies. I guess I'm just gonna kind of summarize some of them, and maybe you'll be like, hey Garrett, I'm doing all those strategies anyways. Thanks for nothing. And or it's that's great. Oh my God, that's one little piece of something that I can use. And maybe that one little extra boost gets you an accepted offer. So first and foremost, again, before I even get into strategies, it's about mindset. And I want to bring that up because I keep talking to agents who put themselves down before they even go out and try, right? They'll get a buyer and they'll be like, oh, like they'll lose one offer, or the buyer doesn't have extra funds over appraisal or anything like that. And instantly, like they'll kill themselves. They'll be like, you know what, like that's that, and then all of a sudden they take their foot off the gas with that buyer. And they get frustrated. They blame the market and they blame this and that. Here's a really good mindset. If this market is so shitty, right? And oh my God, this is the worst. I can't do this with buyers. Why do we all have so many deals, right? There's so much out there that we can get accepted if you just keep trying. There's agents out there with 20, 30, 40, 50 escrows at a time right now. I mean, people are getting offers accepted because they're just going at it. And they're using all the strategies they can and just continuing to use those strategies on every single buyer they get, right? So that's the first thing is don't get frustrated, because the person who's going to trust you and where your frustration is going to be seen is your buyer, right? So if your buyer sees you frustrated, which buyers can read us like books. I mean, our whole job is to be personable and our buyers are supposed to see us as people they can trust. If they see you frustrated and not putting in 100%, then now you're going to lose them. So now you've lost yourself and now you've lost your buyer. And there's no way you're going to make anything work. So the idea is this: stay positive, look at the perspective that we are getting offers accepted. There's homes coming on market every week. Yes, it's crazy out there, but keep going at it. It's hard as hell, but it's all worth it once you get an offer accepted. Once you're in escrow, what the nice part is not many escrows are canceling these days because of a buyer being like, you know what, I don't like that house anymore, I'm going to pull out. Like, if anything, people are like, oh my God, it took me 4 weeks to get this house. There's no way I'm going to cancel. I'm going to do everything I can to do that. So we're actually seeing less cancellations than like the wobbly buyers we saw before, where they'd get an offer accepted and then back out because some other home came on market and they're like, oh, I want that house now. So you got to look at the bright side of things and actually be happy, right? Be happy for this market, right? Be happy that we're all selling real estate. I mean, be happy that it's not a shit market and it's all turned around and interest rates are 8% and we're all screwed over, you know? I mean, God, we all thought that when COVID hit in February and March last year, and look at us now, right? So I want to say it's all about mindset first, because your mindset goes into your buyer. That's the second point of this too, is I prep every buyer so hard now to be on board with me, right? Right when I meet them and right when I'm building that rapport, I go, look, this is going to be tough. It's going to be you coming out as much as you can. It's going to be offer after offer after offer. Once we get that offer accepted, the home is yours. So I'm prepping my buyers way ahead of time for the frustrations that they're going to feel. I mean, you think you're frustrated with the market. Think about being a buyer, finding a home, losing it, finding a home, losing it, finding a home, losing it. Losing 3 homes, that buyer could give up on you and say, you know what? First of all, I don't think you're a good agent, right? Because you can't get an offer accepted, which is all incorrect because it's just the way the market is, right? Number 2, I don't even want to do the home search anymore because it's too crazy out there, right? So the whole thing is to get them on board, and I prep my buyers for I look at them and I say, look, if we get an offer accepted within the first 2 weeks, like, go us, holy crap, like, that's amazing. But please understand there's going to be struggles, and I need you to be on my team, and let's go at this, right? Let's go for 2 weeks. Let's go for 4 weeks. If you guys need a weekend break, we're good. Like, let's come out during the weekends and this and that. Understand and explain to them there's going to be frustrations, but then explain the end of it. Say, I wouldn't be in business and I wouldn't be in real estate and I wouldn't be closing homes if I didn't know how to get my buyers into a home, right? I wouldn't be in business if it didn't all work out at some point. So now you kind of have, you've prepped them and you've given them the excitement that within 2 to 8 weeks, I prepped them all the way up to 8 weeks, right? 8 weeks, 10 weeks, who cares? So that they're on board with you. So now you've done all your prep work, you've changed your mentality, you've changed their mentality, and now let's go, right? So that's how it should be. That's how it is with every buyer these days. So instead of being like, oh God, there's 2 homes on market, I'm sure there's like 20 offers, what am I going to do? Don't be that person. Be like, let's go see the home. Let's put our best foot forward. Let's try and get this house. Look, if we don't get it, there's going to be more homes on Monday, more homes on Tuesday, more homes on Wednesday, more homes on Thursday. And we can aim at those homes, right? So that's the most important thing, because that's the number one frustration that I see from most agents now calling me or asking me for advice is God, this market sucks. You guys, this market doesn't suck. We've been in highs, we've been in lows, we've been in sellers markets, buyers markets. I mean, what if there were no buyers at all? Like, look at it that way. Like, what if it was flipped and we had all these listings on market and your listing all of a sudden took 90 to 120 days and you spent money on photography and marketing and now you lose a listing? Like, everyone's like, oh, listings are the best. What if it was a flip market and you're like, there's too many buyers for the homes? Like, you could always complain about something in real estate, right? And you just got to play your route on who you're dealing with. So let's get into some of the strategies I use. I'm sure everyone uses some of these strategies too, but maybe there's something in here that helps out with you guys. So number 1, you get to the point of writing the offer. Obviously, we're all trying to pump the listing agent for as much information as we can. Hey, what's the highest offer? What do I need to do? Blah, 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 blah. Obviously we get whatever clay we're given, right? We get whatever buyer we're given, either an FHA, VA, conventional, cash buyer, right? And you also get the buyer that has a mentality of hey, I only want to go this high or whatever it may be. So you have to kind of mold around whichever one you got. But let's just go over a standard. You can call it an FHA buyer, you can call it a VA buyer, you can call it a conventional, a standard buyer. Maybe they're covering their own closing costs, right? So they have like $10K for closing costs and they have their down payment, and that's pretty much about all they got, right? That's your average buyer, right? No one goes into buying a house and being like, oh shit, I need $15K above appraisal contingency. They're like, what the hell is that? And why would I do that? So the idea is to play right now on the average Joe buyer, and what can we do with the average Joe buyer to make our offers any better than what they are, right? So you get to the offer, you're pumping the listing agent, and when your actually writing the offer, we're doing the basics. So obviously I'm trying to have them write the letter. I know there's some discrepancy on like letters and you're not allowed to have them or not. That's bullshit. You can write a letter, have them have the photo, have them have the emotional letter on there. I'm actually not seeing those from a lot of agents these days on my listings. They're not doing all of these strategies. So I'm actually bringing this up for a reason. Is because it was really important a little while ago, and I'm not seeing a lot of people do that, is have them write a couple words and maybe you write the letter out for them and it's okay. Get a family photo of them, shove it on a Word document, and then I shove that actually in on top of the offer. So you have your offer, and instead of doing like an RPA, a pre-approval and proof of funds, and then the letter, I actually put the letter in the actual offer, into the preview offer, and I save that as a PDF so that listing agent can't just present your offer like any other basic offer. They have to be like, here's this offer, and like your buyer's face and the letter is on top of that. So the letter, obviously, always do it. It's annoying, it sucks, and some buyers, they take time to send you a photo, whatever it is. Obviously, if they don't do that, then just submit the offer anyways, because timing's of the essence on here. So get the RPA, put it on top of the RPA and do the letter. So keep doing letters, always do letters, because you could win over a seller, even though every seller understands the market these days and they want more money, but you could win them over with that letter. Number two is obviously lowering all your contingencies the best that you can, right? So we're lowering the loan contingency. You're talking to the lender, seeing how low you can bring it down, but usually you can lower contingencies, which is the standard these days, to like a 10-day inspection contingency or 8-day. I mean, if you can line up an inspector quicker, then do that. And then bringing down loan contingency from 21 down to 17, 18. And, you got to look at it this way, is even if you don't have the loan fully approved, they would have to send a notice to perform. And that gives you 48 hours anyway. So regardless, you still have 19 or 20 days to get that loan approval too. So letter, now we have the lowered contingencies, making that offer super, super clean, obviously, of not asking for appliances. So even if they say like fridge, washer, dryers included, like just don't ask for them. If they want to include that, cool, then they'll leave it if they were going to leave it anyways. Okay, so that's all like the basic stuff. Like that's the way to make an easy, clean offer. Lower escrow days, make sure the lender is semi-okay with it. A lot of lenders will say, hey, I could do 25 days instead of 30, 24 days, 21 days, whatever it is, but usually around like the 25-day mark. So now you're doing a 25-day escrow on that. And then here's kind of some of the level 2 stuff, I'd say, is a little bit more. So obviously with VA, we have to have termite section 1 clearance, but with FHA conventional and cash, it doesn't need to be, it's not a requirement of the loan. So you can take out termite from there. Obviously you're asking your buyer, but you're explaining what that is, right? So they can still get a termite inspection. You can write in termite inspection, or you could not write in termite inspection. Termite inspections are 60, 70, 75 bucks. It's cheap. So if your buyer's worried about the termite, then either you're going to have the seller still pay for the termite inspection or pull it out and they can order their own termite inspection, which is 70 bucks. In the request for repair, you can then put in section 1 in the offer, right? So if it's section 1, or if it's this item or this item or this item, then you can still do that. So just not writing in termite inspection and section 1 clearance makes your offer stronger. I'm going to explain too in the email, when you're writing the offer, you want to highlight those things like no termite. Like when you make this big list when you write the offer, no termite, no this, we're not asking for appliances, no closing costs. Like you're writing this whole list. That's a tool that you can use, and you can say, hey, look, I'm not asking for termite or section 1 clearance, and they're like, and it makes it a cleaner offer. Escalation clause, I'll probably wait on that one until a little bit in a minute. You can do I guess we could go into that. So there's an escalation clause or an addendum, right? What I've been seeing is an escalation clause, if no one knows what that is you're submitting an offer. So say the house is 500, you're submitting 510, 520, whatever it is, but you're giving an escalation clause saying, we will beat whatever offer is above us by so-and-so amount, usually 1,000, so-and-so amount up to this point. So your offer is 520, we will beat any other offer, saying it right now, any other offer up to 530, 535, 540, by $1,000 right there. I've seen it done on like an addendum, so people can just write that in an addendum, very easy. So an escalation clause is good. I'm not seeing that on my listings lately. So these are things that I'm not seeing other agents do these days. So everyone else thinks like, oh my God, everyone's doing all this crazy shit on other offers. I see basic stuff. People are just submitting high offers, just doing the basics and not doing this stuff. So if I saw an escalation clause, I'd be like, I saw one recently, maybe like 2 months ago is the last time I saw one, and I haven't seen one since. That's a very good tool that you could use. And that offer almost got accepted because of that. So escalation clause written in an addendum, you can do that way. You can also write in the addendum, even though it's written in the RPA, you can write like a home is always as is, but sellers want to hear the word as is, even though it's in the RPA, right? You can write in this addendum as is, like buyer to purchase this home as is, which is just reinstating what's actually in the RPA. But no one ever, like, a lot of listing agents don't actually explain that to their sellers. So it just means that that buyer's not going to be bullshitting with them later on. Obviously, if there's major stuff, you can always still ask that in the request for repairs and stuff like that too, before contingencies are removed. So you can write as is in the addendum also. So escalation clause addendum, as is addendum. I know it sounds stupid, but it works well because that shows that you're as is also. So your whatever lender you have, you want to obviously prep the lender, talk to the lender. You're in that mode of having the lender help you get offers accepted. You want to CC the lender with you on the offers, and then you can also prep them and ask the listing agent what if they have a cross qual, like a cross qual lender, what that lender's info is. Like even before you're submitting that offer, get that lender to call the listing agent's cross qual lender. So instead of like just doing it later, like once you have an accepted offer, have your lender call the cross qual lender right off the bat. Like if they like that home, like call your lender, be like, hey, this is the one. Can you please cross qual? Do it that way. That way, that lender is going to call their listing agent and be like, holy shit, this guy already cross qualled his buyers. They're good to go. I mean, that just makes you stand out even further. If there's a cross qual involved on there. So that's something that you can do too, CCing the lender. Okay, so now some of the even like deeper stuff on here that you can do too that I've been seeing and kind of been using here and there is, give me a sec, is going to be the benefits, the bonuses. What can we give the seller that they want to stand out as well, right? So free rent back. One of the offers just got accepted for one of my listings. We can offer free rent back for a certain amount of time, right? So usually we say, hey, we'll allow rent back to your seller for 2 to 4 weeks, right? Blah, blah, blah. But you're still charging them, right? Because like they're still renting the property from you. Why not offer them free? I know it sucks. I know it eats into the payment for what it is, but if you don't have the extra funds, you can't do that. That's a perk. I mean, any seller is going to be like, holy crap, like they're letting me close, giving me the time to get out and do whatever I want for free, right? So you can offer 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of rent back for free. Explain it to your buyer the best way that you can, but that perk alone, instead of being like, hey, we'll allow rent back, right? You think you're being the best because you're like, we'll allow rent back at a per diem rate, right? Why not be the guy that's also allowing rent back for 2 weeks, 3 weeks for free? I mean, that seller's going to freak out. My seller freaked out. Someone offered me 30 days rent back for free. He was like, get out of here. He's like, that's my offer. And that's the one that he wanted. So that's something that I've been seeing lately too. That's something that's not going to cost your buyer up front. It will cost them, obviously, because the payment of what it is too, but usually their payment doesn't hit for at least a month or two after close anyway. So it doesn't really hurt into the gameplay of what they had planned for their funds. And a lot of buyers actually don't realize that too. So that's something that you can do too. Buyer to offer 2 weeks of rent back to the seller for free. Free, use that word, to seller, yay, right? Anything bonus. I never see that. That was maybe 1 out of the 10 offers I've seen lately, someone do that. So I like that strategy on there too. If it gets to the nitty gritty, you're in seller multiple counter offers. I usually we'll only do this as a last resort. And if the property is offered out at 2.5%, a lot, I'd say 50 to 75% of listings now are being listed out at 2% as the standard is, I mean, if it's make or break, there's 5 other offers on there and yours is a seller and multiple counter offer and your buyer can't go up anymore. You can offer some funds back to the seller to make it happen. And what I mean by that is you can write a little bonus of $1,000. That's not even 0.5% usually of whatever the home price is, right? $1,000 out of like discounted from the seller's commission back to the seller. I mean, I've had sellers specifically accept our offer for that reason, right? $1,000. So many people are so caught up on, oh no, like, why would I do that? Why would I offer any commission back? Well, guess what? You now have to work with those buyers for weeks and weeks and weeks and potentially could lose them again to another home or lose them in general and not have a deal, rather than trying to offer out on a seller multiple counter offer with 5 other offers. Your buyer can't go up, and instead of you getting that call being like, hey, they went with Billy Bob because Billy Bob went up, $1,000 to beat you. You're the one that went above and beyond and offered $1,000 back to the seller. So that's some a benefit that you can do too. A thing that you can do also, usually it's etiquette in this industry that a seller pays for a home warranty, right? $500, $600, $700 home warranty. Now that's not a required thing. That's not required by anybody. So if you're explaining to your buyer that, hey, usually the seller does pay for this, but you could get your own home warranty as well, then you can actually take out the home warranty and have the buyer pay for their own home warranty. It's $500. And if they're already pumping 10, 20, 30K offers over on homes, why wouldn't they just take that out? Because that's a seller cost on there. Again, this is a highlight that you're going to do in the email. No closing costs, 25-day escrow, lower contingencies, escalation clause, no home warranty. And then you write a little savings, like no home warranty highlighted on this offer. And then you're also writing, you write savings of $700, right, on home warranty. So no home warranty on there also is something that you can do. Explain it to your buyers though, right? Again, we're very good at being like, this house needs 20K over ask, but that's what everyone else says, right? So like, do the 20K over ask, do the 10K over ask, do the 15K over ask, and then do all this shit, because that's what's gonna be the guy that just goes boom, just over the other one. And that's why your offer is gonna get accepted over the others. Let's see, as is addendum, let's talk about funds and how to get extra funds from your buyer without, if they don't, okay. So the whole idea these days is everyone has funds over appraisal. Every listing agent's gonna ask you, oh, like, hey, we're listed high. Are there any funds that they have over appraisal? Let's say you have an FHA buyer, they have money for half their closing costs, right? The lender's going to cover the other half of closing costs. And I don't know, maybe they say, they're like, well, Garrett, I only have $2,000 extra, like 2 or 3,000. What do I do? Like, should we offer 3,000 over appraisal? Like, that's honestly a joke. Like, you can't write that, because people are offering 5 or 10K over appraisals to get their offers accepted. So there's ways to maximize someone to get some extra funds, and it's just an ask, right? So number one, you can ask the lender if they can cover all of the closing costs, right? Ask if they can cover all the closing costs instead of half, right? So instead of being like, oh, hey, the lender can cover, like the buyer's gonna be like, the lender said they can cover half my closing costs. Why can't they cover the full? Like, check with that lender and tell them it's dire to be able to cover all the closing costs. And usually 8 out of 10 times they can do it. So if they say no, I mean, we have our own lenders that we all use. I mean, push them, that's a way to push them into your lender. Usually your lender can cover it. Obviously credit score and all that stuff matters. But the more that lender can cover, the more funds that frees up for your buyer to have availability over appraisal. So now they have 3K that they already said. Say the lender's like, hey, okay, yeah, I can cover all the closing costs on here. Obviously the rate's a little bit higher. I can cover all the closing costs on here. Now that's another 5 to 6K that they had. They thought they had 5K. They needed, add that to the 3. They have 8 to 10K over appraisal now that they can write an offer. I've gotten an offer accepted for that reason. Is the lender covered the rest of the closing costs. He had 3, we wrote an 8, we got the offer accepted because of that. So instead of like being like, oh, they don't have any funds, they don't have any funds, like there's ways to ask. Number 2 is, well, there's 2 other ways to maybe ask. Obviously, as a gift, say, hey, is there something that your family, anybody you know, can gift fund you $5K, $7K to borrow, like just to help out on this? A lot of people don't even ask that. Like, why not ask? Say, look, the market's so difficult. Is there anyone that you know that would let you borrow 5K, like for a gift, family member to get a gift to give you an extra 5K? I'm trying to scrape the barrel to get anywhere between 8 and 15K above appraisal contingency to look the best, right? So ask for gift funds. Usually the buyer's going to say no. Like, I've asked everyone. Ask again. Push them again. Say, look, that can make the difference between you getting a home and not. And I know you could pay that person back within 6 months, whatever it is, too. Just ask. See if you can do that. Ask for those funds in some way. Third way to get extra funds is to, let's say we have a conventional buyer. Obviously, you can't do that with an FHA or VA, but if you have a conventional buyer, I'm actually working with one of my agents right now to get an offer accepted. They have a 10% conventional and they've made an offer. So they have 10% down. They're paying for their closing costs, right? So first of all, we're asking the lender how much of the closing costs they can cover. So boom, now the lender's going to be able to cover this much. And so they'll have 10K left over appraisal contingency. Instead of using the 10%, we're asking that lender if they can do a 5% down instead of a 10% down, so that they'll have about 20 to 30K funds. So we're doing a 40 to 50K over ask offer on this home. Comps are like 820, it's supposed to be 850. I mean, there's a huge gap. Like it could potentially underappraise 20 or 30 grand. So 5 or 10 isn't going to work. So if there's the possibility of that buyer doing 5% down just to get a home and having the spare funds from that other 5%, along with now the lender covering some closing costs, yes, it's going to cost them a little bit more monthly, but guess what? You get a home, right? You get a home before prices keep going up that way too. So lowering down payment to open up availability of funds. And by the way, that's not finite. It doesn't mean that they have to go 5% down. You just wait for that appraisal to come in. And I mean, say the appraisal comes in 10 or 15K low, you're fine. You have the other funds. If it comes in under 30K, you talk to them and say, hey, this is what we talked about. We've got to do 5% down instead of 10 so that you guys have the extra funds to go over appraisal so we can get this house. So those are strategies and avenues that we can use to get more funds instead of us just on the phone being like, hey, and God, we're so blunt. I mean, agents were so damn blunt with our buyers. Like, hey, it's crazy out there. Hey, you got any funds? Like, we're so over it these days. We're so like, just, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're so, oh, you don't have any extra funds? I don't know if we're going to be able to make this work. You know, we'll try, but you know, there's probably 20 offer. I mean, you're just like, don't be that guy. Like, be the person that has these avenues and talks to them that way, because not only that, they're going to respect you even more by opening up these avenues. So that is probably I think that's everything that I really wrote down. Rent back, offer, lower down payment. That's pretty much it. So that's most, if not all, the strategies that I use. When you're writing your offers in the email, you're blowing up that email with multiple paragraphs of how much they love the home, all of the benefits of your offer. My offer includes, in bold letters, and then highlight every damn thing that I just said. No term line, escalation clause. Here's my letter to the sellers. No closing costs, no appliances, free rent back for 2 weeks to your seller, exclamation, exclamation. No home warranty, $700 savings, as is addendum. My buyers are buying this as is. Lower escrow days. Oh my God, we can close in 24 days. Lower contingencies. No appliances. If I already said that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, now you have this list. My God, everyone just submits an offer. Here's my offer. We really love the home. Like, right? Take the time. Put in the work. You'll get offers accepted.
Great job, man. Hey, so many thanks are coming in the chat, and I did ask if anyone had any questions. Jeannie posts, what do you think about buyers offering to pay for the seller's closing costs?
You know what? I was literally just thinking about that too. I actually don't know. I mean, actually, that's a good question for you, Josh. Too. Is I've just now heard that recently, and I know lenders may or may not be okay with that. Do you know some of the specifics based on loan?
I've never heard a lender saying a buyer couldn't do that.
Got it. I mean, maybe if we get a for sure finite, yes or no. I mean, that's a fantastic idea. I thought about that because I've heard that recently, and I've thought about that. Of course, this is now someone who has funds, and you got to understand, seller closing costs are less than buyer closing costs. So 1% pretty much covers that seller's closing costs. So you're like, hey, here's my offer. My God, that'd be so rad, right? Here's my offer, and I've never even seen it, right? And like, it would be so cool to see, and we're gonna pay for seller closing costs. I mean, I couldn't even imagine how cool that would be.
Awesome.
Oh,
Tyler said,
Tyler did it in December.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
to be specific, it was around a 60-90 rule. So I had to get the price to match up
Got it.
the tax base transfer. So,
Yeah.
But you know what? If they have it and they have the reserves, the lender's not going to care.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. The only thing I would add to that is make sure that you specify the percentage or the amount, because I could see a seller being like, oh, my 6% commission is part of my closing costs, so we're going to need you to pay that. So I would cap it or specify specifically, cool.
I like that too.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any more questions, but many thanks coming in. Someone says, Laura says, do you write in appraisal contingency waived and buyer to make up difference to a certain amount?
I mean, that's a real catch-22 on there. Like appraisal contingency waived means everyone's doing it these days, right? Because they really actually don't even know what it means. Like waiving appraisal contingency should mean no matter what, we're coming in whatever the amount is at above ask. Like say it's 550, the appraisal comes in. I mean, let's say it's awful. Say it comes in at 490. Like they're supposed to come in with 60K over that amount. So it semi defeats the purpose of removing the appraisal contingency, right? But I'm gonna say do it still, because 50 to 60% of listing agents, they don't know what the appraisal contingency is, right? And if you sign off the appraisal contingency, yet write in, buyer to come up with 12K over it, you're going to get asked the question, like the listing agent, if they like your offer, they'll be like, oh, hey, I thought you removed appraisal contingency, and then you're only writing 12K, over that amount. Like that kind of defeats the purpose. 1 out of 3 agents would do that. Whereas, if you just write the cap in of the amount, and not waive the appraisal contingency, they might just shoot you off the edge, while presenting 10 to 20 offers because you haven't. So if you're in that mode, I would do that. I would remove the appraisal contingency, yet write it in the writing saying, hey, we'll have 8K, 10K, here's the cap of what we'll do over appraisal contingency.
Awesome. And then Susan says, as a listing agent, please make sure to talk to the listing agent when you have an offer, because the listing agent can give you some kind of clue as to what the seller wants. And she just says, like, so few agents actually call her when they send.
It's so true. It's crazy to me too. And that's what I'm saying, guys, is we can shoot ourselves down all the time thinking that every other agent is like just going so hard, right? Like talking to listing agents, putting in all this stuff. I'm telling you right now, I am not seeing any offers on any of my listings with half this stuff, right? And again, I just got an email too of, hey, of the offer without asking me anything. They just submitted an offer, and I was like, why wouldn't you call me? Why wouldn't you ask me? And I was like, it's the people that do that, that talk to the listing agent that actually make it happen.